another edition of Sports Desk. Joining me in my studio is my good friend and colleague, Paul on the ball. We're here to talk sports with you. Paul, good evening. Say good evening.
Good evening, Carl.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Anytime. You know, you're my backup.
A real gentleman is Carl, and nice to be here.
Yes, and we're supposed to be talking tennis today, guys. Our guest just arrived, so we're going to be giving you an introduction and a commercial after they come back.
Right. Well, in fact, I can tell you from now, it's the son of a very talented player, Percy Roden, and Stefan Roden, and also another talented family, Paul Oliveira. So two youngsters are going to be here to tell us about their tennis skills. Unfortunately, the president himself is unable to attend, but I'm ensured that he sent these two young budding stars here to be with us today. So we wait in great anticipation to hear what they're going to say and all the great things they're going to do in tennis. But in the meantime, my main man here has a few things he wants to talk about.
No, as usual, Paul, you know, we talk sports, but
we do.
We haven't had the opportunity of sitting down and actually discussing sports on a whole through our territory. You know, what direction we want to go and how we intend to, take task of it. So
no, we haven't.
So
I know you mentioned the word government. Doesn't know it slipped in.
No. I didn't mean it like that.
Oh, sorry.
But really and
Just
truly, as you can see, sports is progressing in our country. It's a revenue-driven something, and I would like to see. I know there's a policy that's supposed to be out there. Like I said, I've been talking for some time, and I'd like to be able to see the policy, see what's entails. Because from what I read, a little bit that I read, it doesn't seem much, but. I'd like to sit down and scrutinize it and find out what direction are we planning on going in sports, because we hear a lot of talk about this is going to happen. We've been hearing that for years.
Yeah, well, certainly just to remind the folks that we are here live. This is Sports Desk. I'm Paul on the ball along with my main man, Carl Catliff. Please give us a call, 300-1949, 300-1949, or send a text if you would prefer, 300-1950. Or we're also on the World Wide Web, www.jtvlive.net, and we'll certainly try and link with you there as well. But we are here live, and this is not a recording, this is live, and we are here talking sports. So we're talking sports policy, and where are we going with it in the policy? Is there a sports policy? What's it all about? Well, Carl, we recently heard the Minister of Education talking about making reference to a sports policy, saying that he wanted to do it in the country to sports. He made it reference to, and it was asked by one of the other opposition, what is their plans for athletes going to the next Olympics. He mentioned Jamal Alexander, and of course Taisha Harrigan was also mentioned. Is there a genuine sports policy in the eyes of the athletes and the coaches presently? Is there something happening there? If we were to ask the coaches, what would their view be?
Well,
you've been here for.
Well, as a coach, I could just give you my insight of what I've seen happen so far. Like I said, it's very difficult out there as a coach and an athlete, trying to get that support. I hear a lot of talk about facilities. We have a state-of-the-art facilities that's sitting right down there on the AO Shorty grounds. I mean, it's not finished, but we hear a lot of talk of money being spent on elsewhere. One thing that I think needs to be done first is, fix your facilities. Make sure that they're up to par before you start talking about, generating funds in other areas. I mean, we have the rest part of the stands to be made. Under the stands is supposed to be places where we can have concession, we have weight room, we have conference room, all that kind of stuff like that. I think that needs to be finished. My personal view about the bandstand, I think that needs to be laid down. Some nice state-of-the-art, something needs to be put there where you can have conferences. You have teams coming in if they want to stay, something like that. I think we need to start looking into those directions. The reason I said that, before you go ahead, the reason I said that is because we catered to a CUT games here a couple of years ago. And we had a problem with rooms. Facilitating the athletes was easy, but facilitating the camp goers, camp followers, that was a problem. We just about outfitted all the hotels around here.
Okay, good point. So to the point you make, here's my question to you. I'm just throwing this out now, and you can certainly call in and get involved if you want. First of all, we said we have a state-of-the-art track in the British Virgin Islands. Is the track certified by the IAAF?
Yes, it is.
It's okay, so it's a certified track. In your estimation, is the track up to standard of certification at present?
No, it's not.
Okay, you're a very honest man.
I'm to the point.
Well, that's very good. So, before we can go any further, first of all, the track needs to come back up to standard of certification. It's quite noticeable at present. There are areas on the track where there are cracks. The track needs a lot of maintenance.
Even the infield of it, as you can see,
the infield needs some work. Right. I asked the question the other day: if you were to, if you wanted to bring Karani James, Johan Blake, and Usain Bolt here next month, would they want to run in our track?
No, me personally, I would say no.
You say no.
Yeah,
so here's a more important question: Would the IAAF or the governing body allow them to run in our track?
No, that is a question. That is a question.
It's a good question, isn't it?
It is a good question. But even so, Paul,
yes,
if they were allowed, and like I said, they were actually had the opportunity to come and compete.
Yes.
And the fans wanted to come out. I mean, can we facilitate them?
So a totally different question again, and a very good question. Can we facilitate the fans or the numbers that we would expect? Because if you let's face it, if Usain Bolt is going to run in the British Virgin Islands, you're talking about St. Kitts, Montserrat, Antigua, Nevis, the whole of the US and British Virgin Islands wanted to come out to see this guy
Puerto Rico.
Well, I didn't even get that far. Guadeloupe, if you want to start calling names, Martinique. Said Martin.
Can we facilitate something of that nature?
So here's my next question to you: Is the AO Shirley the ideal place to facilitate such a meet with such numbers?
Well, Paul, my answer to that is we have already invested the money in that area.
We can invest into a second track.
Yeah, but this is the problem that we're facing.
Yes.
We always start something, never finish, but reinvest in something else. My thing is, finish with what you have, let's see what we can do with it, and then start to think outside the box.
I hear you, but I'm going to ask you a question now. You say finish what we started, with the with the workload, let's put it that way, that happens on the track. You're talking about, and I want to get to the morning walkers before the break. The morning walkers, who we have been somewhat neglecting, right? We have the halfway athletes, and then we have what we term as the professional or the want to be professional athletes, with their full-time coaches, right? Who would hold regular jobs as well as it happens. With all this amount of things happening, you have I haven't mentioned the school kids who are coming in for PE there, all the different sports and events that are happening inside there. Can they ever surely handle all of that and still get certified at an IAAF facility?
My personal view on that, I would say no, because I've been to countries and some places where that's our national stadium.
In Jamaica, would that workload be allowed in the national stadium?
I didn't want to use Jamaica.
Well, no, let's use Jamaica.
But now that you mention it,
yes.
When we were at Jamaica just the other day, the kind of red tape we had to do in order to get into the national stadium. Just to get in. Just for one session practice. We couldn't even run on the grass.
Couldn't even run on the grass?
Couldn't even run on the grass. And you couldn't even run on the track, certain areas of the track.
Weren't allowed to.
You weren't.
Right.
So that just shows, I mean, the level of what they, the facilities and what they think about.
Right. So here's the thing, and I'm going to talk to the walkers now. I observe walkers, because I go on the track, they to walk as well now. I observe walkers walking every single day. Every morning they get there from 5 until about 7:30. They walk from lane 1 to lane 8. Right?
But you can look at the condition of the track right now and see that it's in terrible shape.
Have rules been set? Have these walkers been told? Are there signs that are put up clearly and distinctly as to the walkers know? Have we focused on these walkers to ensure that they know specifically where they can and cannot walk on the track? Who is the track built for? Was it built for the walkers, or was it built for the athletes? Who paid for the track? Was it the walkers or was it the athletes? What is our ultimate focus and what we want out of this track. A lot of things with the text coming in, and it probably is going to be a pretty interesting one. So I'm gonna take it straight away if I can find it. The O'Shirley Grounds is a national stadium. Do you think that soccer has any part to play in the way the infield looks as of now?
Okay, my answer to that is...
Good question.
My answer to that is soccer is normally played in stadiums like that, because even in Jamaica, the reason why we couldn't go on the grass because a soccer match was going to be played within that time.
Okay.
But the thing is, the practicing of soccer in a national stadium, I think it shouldn't be, because that's what deteriorates the track. I mean, the infield.
I'm listening to you.
So having a sport like soccer played in there is no problem, because of course we track and field and soccer shares stadiums all over the world.
Sure.
You know, so that is not an issue. The issue is training. Now that's something that we need to talk about. We have a national stadium, but we need a training facility, because if we're gonna use a stadium for specific, we need to have something outside of that.
Absolutely. So therefore,
so now I can see what you're talking about, spending money to build something else.
So therefore, you agree with me in that hindsight.
Yes,
is that there should have been somewhere else, either for the professional athletes to compete, A, or B, for the walkers and the coaches to train.
Of course,
right? And it has been traditional for years for everybody to come to the O'Shirley Grounds. So if we're suddenly going to ask them not to go there anymore, where are they going to go?
Okay, Paul. For walkers just do laps. If we create a running surface, probably 2-3 lanes, and at the Scatlift grounds, that's what we use for a warm-up track right now for track and field events.
Right.
If we created those lanes on the playground, you can still utilize that for walkers and still play a match of soccer in there, because I've seen a lot of sports being played in there.
And would that include the athletes for training facilities?
Of course,
well?
of course.
So therefore, we could use it as a training facility, as well as a public facility, for the walkers, and a public facility. Because at the end of the day, remember, it is all paid for by all. But
here's a good place too.
Yes.
We just spent a bunch of money fencing down by the Queen Elizabeth Park, and that's just a piece of landmass that's could be utilized for just I mean, if you put the lanes down there, that's even better for walking than where they are over there, because they have you have the atmosphere of the sea and all that kind of stuff, the tranquility and stuff like that. So you feel more comfortable. I think they need to start developing that area. It can be used for a music festival, and it can hold a ton of people.
So Carl, what I'm hearing you saying is what you're really talking about is facilities and the lack of facilities.
Yes, but then
that brings in places like Greenland and Carrot Bay and all these places. A lot of these grounds which have not been used for years are grown up by bush. Recently the Seacows Bay field was changed into a softball field period. So the only sport that can be played there now is softball. So we have 2 softball fields, one which is used by one group and one which is used by just another group.
My thing, Paul, I personally feel all the facilities that we have needs to be upgraded. They're in terrible condition. If I show you some pictures that my colleague and I took about these, some time ago about these facilities, you'll be shocked. And this is what we spend money on, and this is what people get paid to upkeep, but they're not doing it.
So, my next question to you then, Carl, I know you want me to ask this, so I'll ask you. So, who is in charge of the upkeep for the field?
Well, you know what?
Asking the obvious.
Well, but you know what? Before I answer that, there's a break that's coming.
When you come back, we have Stephen Roden, the talented and the up-and-coming Paul Oliveira here to talk tennis. So, there will be no more talk on this maybe until next week.
Well, but then if the viewers are listening and want to join in and ask questions, send us a text or give us a call on your opinion on what you think our sporting facilities should look like, or how they kept, or if you think it is right for the national stadium, so to speak, to be utilized by so many people.
Right. And do understand that we're just generalizing here. Right. We're not picking anybody. We're just trying to be the devil's advocate, if we can use that word. Because at the end of the day, all of us want the O'Shirley Grounds to be certified.
Yes.
And how practical at present is it for it to be certified, with the amount of work that it takes, and is there an alternative somewhere nearby, as you say, at the Scatlift Grounds? Would the Scatlift School be happy having
Those are questions that needs to be answered.
Those are big questions.
But then again, those are questions that we can't answer.
Those are questions that maybe we don't need to. Maybe we'll get a text somebody to answer the question for us.
But guys, if you're just joining in, this is Sports Desk. Paul and myself, we're here talking sports. We're going to take a break from a word from our sponsors, which is Digicel, Play to Win, Roadtown Wholesale, and Speedies. And we'll be right back. In the studio join us is two youngsters. I let my colleague introduce them to you. We're talking tennis. For those of you guys, tennis has finally came on board. Like Paul said, the president couldn't make it, but he has sent two of his prospects. So Paul, I'll give you the introduction.
Well, we have two extremely good prospects. In fact, I've seen them both play. To the right here, or my right and your left, we have Stefan Roden, and to my, I'm going to mix up anyway. And the other gentleman here is Paul Oliveira. And they both went to Canada, and in fact we're going to talk to Paul in a little while separately, because Paul actually went on to play two tournaments, one in St. Lucia and the other one I was just about to pick his brain when we came back on the air, so I'm going to hear that one in a minute. But let's first welcome the guys. Welcome
to the show.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good to have you here. So let's talk first of all. We start with Stefan, as he's the closest to me. Tell us where you went in Canada and why you went there. What was?
Well, we went to a neighborhood just outside of Toronto. We went to participate in a tennis program called ACE. During the 2 weeks we were there, we did a lot of hardcore training with tennis and fitness.
What actually got you started in tennis?
Well, my dad has always been a big tennis player, so when I was small, he would always take me with him to the sports club to go play.
So you got a lit straight one time, or he just gave you a say, come on, play?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Well, let's ask Paul the same question. Paul, again, good evening to you. Tell us what got you involved in tennis.
Well, I just picked it up. I just went to a few lessons and started to play ever since I was 7.
Now, I've been doing a little bit of homework on you, and I've realized that you come from quite an athletic family.
Yeah.
Isn't that so?
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys, you play some other sports as well, don't you, if I'm not wrong?
I have played quite a bit. I've played basketball at school, and baseball I would usually play. There's lots of soccer sometimes.
Yeah.
That's the one he's trying to get.
No, but I know he's played quite a bit. I've seen him playing soccer as well, actually. So was tennis your love, or which sport do you enjoy the best?
Out of all the sports, tennis is my favorite.
Why?
I mean, it's just came to me as so natural.
I was going to say, do you want to be like John McEnroe? You probably don't even know who John McEnroe is.
Oh yeah, I know.
You know? Okay.
Of course, Paul. Come on now.
Well, I mean, John is an old player now. I should have said Novak or whatever.
Yeah, but you mentioned that you also went to the training camp.
Yes.
And what did you get out of that?
It was a great experience, and the competition was just so great. It was good for me, and I just made the best of it.
All right, for both of you, tell us a bit about some of the competitions that you found there, so you can answer individually what the competitions you saw there, and how did you find that competition compared to the British Virgin Islands? Paul, you go first.
Well, up there, the kids do a lot more training. They just spend a lot more hours than what we have here, because here we don't have that amount of courts.
Right.
They had about 12 courts, I should say.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and it's hard to get onto the courts.
How many hours per so you guys been practicing?
A week I practice 12 hours a week.
Okay, I just wanted to get Stefan, not Percy's his dad. This is Stefan. I wanted Stefan to answer that question first.
Go ahead.
Well, the way that the day would work is that we would begin by, we do fitness in the morning and a little bit of tennis training, and then in the afternoon was mostly based around competition, so we would play matches for the whole afternoon after lunch. So there was competition every day, and then we would have like a board, like a score sort of card, where you would see everybody's score for the day, and so that really, it drove competitiveness, and that helped a lot. Like Paul was saying, we don't have as many chances to compete here because there's not as many junior players.
Now, you mentioned fitness. Fitness first before you started to play. What did it entail, your fitness?
Well, fitness was one of the big focuses that they had at the program, and in the mornings we would, I think, when we first got there at 8, I think, we would get right on the court and we would do like a 10-minute jog around the court until the coaches were set up and prepared everything, and then we would begin to do some drills with each other. After that, we would get into fitness, which would be, it was different. You know, they had 3 different types of fitness. Sometimes we would go and we'd play soccer, but each time we would have to do some running to get to where we were going to go, and then we did sprinting sometimes, and we did sort of like strength training and that type of thing.
Right. And Paul, what did you find from what Percy said? What aspects did you enjoy the most out of that?
Well, as he said, the competitiveness was just so good, and I mean, you don't get the time to train as much as they did because, I mean, the courts are just all the way in town, and you can train at home, but you don't have the competition that would drive you to do better.
Right, so here's what I'm going to ask you. Which workout did you enjoy the most, and which one did you least enjoy?
Well, I least enjoyed the beep test.
I have done did you bring that home with you? The beep test is serious. Did they give you a copy of that?
It was very difficult.
It's serious.
We did it every morning for 2 weeks.
The beep test is, I've done it. Go on, and that's at least enjoyed. I can understand that.
Yeah.
I'll explain what the beep test is in a minute. Go ahead.
My favorite part of training was core exercises. We'd go into a fitness room, we'd do about 100 push-ups, work on your body work, and we'd do planking.
Right.
If you know what that means.
I don't know. What's planking?
Planking is where you stretch up, Paul, with your hands and your legs, and you're just holding.
Oh, I see. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
That's planking. Okay, I know. Okay, that's what it's called.
But the reason I asked is because I just wanted to hear the type of workout that you guys do. Now, is this something that you guys do at home before? You do regularly at home, or this is something that was new for you guys when you got there?
I've done it before,
but not that intense.
I haven't done it that intensely, actually.
Okay, so I want to hear what Percy liked. What did you like
Percy,
the most?
Not Percy.
So you're the one who started calling him Percy. Stefan! I want to know what Stefan liked the most and the least.
Well, one of the exercises that I really enjoyed was the sprinting, which I would have never thought to enjoy that the most. But we would go into a parking lot, and you know how the parking lot has dividers for the cars.
Right.
So we would start at one end, and each time the trainer would go maybe like 2 dividers further, and so we would have to sprint, and we did it in tiers. So you could, each time you won, if you came first, you would move up a tier.
Right. If
you came last, you would move down a tier, and so that was fun because it was also competitive as well.
So you're pretty fast. That's what you're saying.
Carl, he didn't mean he was crying all the way from the start to the finish, but he did it in tears. You would have been doing it in tears. Yeah. And what did you like? What do you least like from the workouts?
Well, I mean, the beep test I didn't like that either, but we do that in school sometimes. But doing it all of the, like as Paul said, every day for 2 weeks,
right?
I feel confident for doing it in school now, and I'm looking forward to the next one we have in school. So.
Okay, so the beep test is something that you guys are doing here as well, or do you do it as well, Paul? Here?
I do it in training now with my coach. Yeah.
Right. So do you bring it back with you? Did they give you a copy of the beep test to bring, or you had it here all along?
We've known about it, but we haven't really.
So how did you get a copy of the beep test so you use it here? Did you get it from his school, or?
Yeah, I think I got it from
Okay,
his
all right. So Carl and I can get a copy from his school. we're just trying to get some stuff here. We're trying to break these guys' brains. Carl wants to know all the work that they're doing so he can start to coach his kids. Don't tell him anything else, guys.
No, but I'm learning.
Yeah, no, I see that. You're learning. Okay, guys, how are we doing for time? We okay with?
Yes.
We're doing great for time. Okay, good.
But before you go, just let our listeners know that we're live.
Yeah, well, there you go. We are live. We've got two youngsters here, Paul Olivier and Stephen Rodent. Here, two young tennis players. They both went away to Canada to the ACE tournament, guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They love the beep test. It's great. All kind of stuff. And I want to get across to Paul a bit now because I understand, Paul, that you also took part in 2 additional tournaments since you've been back. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, after I came from Canada, I did 2 weeks training with my coach, and then I went straight on to 2 tournaments.
Right, who's your coach? You want to give him a hello?
Tim Robson.
Tim
Robson.
Robson. So hi, Tim. Tim, you're doing a good job.
Where were your competitions?
My first competition was in St. Lucia.
And how did you do there?
It was fantastic. Everyone just mingles together.
Right.
And I got to the main draw and then lost 6-2, 6-2.
Well, that's not bad. That's not bad. Okay, and the other one?
The other one?
The other one was in St. Vincent at the National Tennis Center in Villa. And it was fantastic. I got to the quarterfinals and then lost to a very difficult player.
Well, you know, in the Caribbean, one of the things that I found is that people don't realize that the high level of tennis that is actually played here, and I think what we don't have is large numbers of kids playing, but the ones who do play are quite intense, and they really hard, aren't they?
My question is to you guys, and both of you guys can answer, or you can answer individually. Do you think playing more tennis helps you get better?
Of
More
course,
competitions?
Of course, because when you play more tennis, you play with different types of players, and that will help your skill level as playing different styles because you have to adapt to different styles of playing.
So you would say in order for you guys to progress more, a lot more competition would be better for you guys?
Yes.
So now, what kind of competition do you get now?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, locally, you guys get.
Paul.
The juniors are improving. The LTA has been working on that, and that is a plus for them because last year it was completely shut down.
Right.
And I wasn't playing in junior tournaments. I had to step it up and go into the men's tournaments in order just to keep my playing.
Right. So what would you say? You either or both could answer. What are the strongest points about playing tennis in the British Virgin Islands, and what are the weakest points as a junior about playing tennis in the British Virgin Islands?
Well, one of the strong points is that since there's not as many junior players, you do get a chance to play with older. You do get a chance to play with older, stronger people, and that playing with more difficult opponents is helpful. But then the weaker points are that it can sometimes be intimidating to play against grown men and stuff like that. And also you want to get a chance to play with people your own age.
Your own peers. All right, good stuff. Well, we're here. This is Sports Desk. I'm Paul on the ball along with Carl, our main man, Carl Scatliff. We're talking to 2 young men, Paul Olivier and Stephen Roden. We're talking tennis, and of course, the young man who's been texting in for about a year now to Carl Scatliff, who has been requesting tennis. So I really hope he's listening. And I haven't received a text from him yet to ask any questions, unless it was Paul who was sending the text himself.
Of course.
I don't think it was
Paul.
Paul.
Are you living in East End?
No, I'm
Okay.
So it wasn't Paul. So a young man who's always asked about tennis, here's your big chance now. They're right here. They're 2 young up-and-coming stars. Send in your questions.
He actually said he's one of the second best ranked in the British Virgin Islands from the East End. You guys are familiar with somebody from the East End?
Oh.
That's ranked number 2?
Geron.
Okay.
Geron,
So Geron, if you're listening,
send in your questions.
now's the time. But before we go to that part, we have another break that we're going to
We'll take a pause for a cause. We want to thank our sponsors, Roton Wholesale, Play to Win, Digicel, and of course Speedies. Without them, we cannot get across the Virgin Gorge to watch the basketball. So stick and stay.
Don't go away.
We'll be right back.